Hello and welcome to not another episode of the Diablo 3 Build Factory. This episode or this video will be just a short video of me talking a little bit about stats and my character and how I decided to equip my character, because a lot of people actually asked me, okay Phobos, how is it or how come that your character can take so many hits of Inferno monsters? And actually I will a little elaborate on this topic, but my philosophy of Inferno mode might not apply to the philosophy of somebody else. So if this opinion or my opinion does not apply to your opinion, don't get offended by that or anything like this. So it's just the way how I do things. So now let's get into the game and take a look at my stats. Let's fight this evil together. Yeah, we sure do. So I guess you can read for yourself. I have 1600 dexterity and about 1500 vitality, and I really stand by that. If you want to have more or get more advice on how to equip your character for Inferno difficulty, I actually made a whole video about that, and I really stand by what I say in this video, and I equip my character by this principle. Nothing has changed concerning that. So 1600 dexterity, that's actually not that high, but because some people already have like 2000 plus dexterity, and that's really good, and I try to get to that, but it's not that easy, but I'm working on that, so just that you guys know. But as you can see, I have almost as much vitality. 1600, 1500 and 1500 vitality, that's quite a lot. I'm actually at 63,000 life, and that's a really buttload of HP, because actually I have or oftentimes I have more HP than barbarians or monks. So now a lot of people might ask, okay, why do you have so much vitality? And the point is, of course you can invest into all resistances and all that good stuff, but the thing is, it is really hard. It is really hard to acquire gear which has all resistances plus vitality plus a high amount of dexterity. I guess the only item I have which has all resistances on them is my shoulders with plus 16 resistance to all elements, and that's actually really low compared to other items. So I have 147 dexterity on them, and also, which is really low, the vitality with 34, and that's actually also really low compared to other items. And now a lot of people ask me, how do I acquire that kind of gear? And the answer to this is, it isn't really feasible for a character who just starts Inferno mode to acquire this gear, because for one, this gear is extremely rare, and for two, and for really good reasons, this gear commands outrageous prices on the auction house. If you really want the item with like 150 dexterity, 200 vitality and 40 to 50 resistance to all elements, you will be charged like 20, 30 or 40 million gold pieces. And that's quite a lot. Not a single character who starts Inferno mode will be able to afford this item. And now you have your chest part, you have gloves, you have your helmets, you have boots, pants and so on. But you can't afford all these items at the beginning, and I don't recommend striving for that, because actually what makes more sense in my opinion is you should try to get a lot of vitality first. Of course, you should always try to rank up your dexterity. That's your most important stat. Always try to find items which have dexterity on them. That's most important. But straight after that, vitality. And I really can't emphasize enough how important this stat is, because oftentimes when you get hit by an enemy, let's say a lot of people who asked me this question, how my gear is and so on and so forth, they struggle at like Act 2 in the sewers. They say, okay, up until the sewers I did just fine, and when I got to the sewers I just get one-shotted all the time. And you should pay attention to how much damage they actually do. Oftentimes they do like a 45,000 or 50,000 damage per hit. So what you should try to achieve is getting your vitality over these numbers. Always try to get your vitality over these numbers. And while you are doing this, don't try to find item pieces which have like a really low armor rating, like 200 or anything like that. You should always try to find item pieces which have a really high armor rating as well, so that you rank up your armor. Because, like I already said, it is really hard to find items which have all resistances on them. Plus, it makes more sense in the beginning to acquire gear which has high armor rating, because high armor rating reduces all the incoming damage. Everything. So that goes from fireballs to physical melee attacks of enemies. Everything. Every incoming damage will be reduced by armor. So you should always try to rank up your armor first, and after that you can look at all resistances and all that stuff. I really think that some people actually overestimate how good all resistances actually is. Of course, it's really good to have them, but it is more important to have a lot of dexterity, because you actually have to keep in mind dexterity also increases your dodge rating, and you can dodge a lot of attacks. And I also mentioned this on my video on how to equip your character on Inferno mode, and that's really important. Dodge a lot of attacks. Keep that in mind. And after that, you should rank up your vitality, get it over the damage numbers that your enemies inflict on you. And after that, you can look on your armor rating. You can see I'm at like almost 60% damage reduction of enemies, and that applies to every incoming damage. And 60%, that's actually really high. So also somebody asked me how high the level of enemies on Inferno mode actually is, and the answer is they are not on your same level all the time. All of the monsters actually are, as far as I know, they are level 60, and the champion packs are level 61, 62 and 63. So they are actually always up to 3 levels above you. So that's something you have to keep in mind. You are not fighting on equal footing. So I guess I'm just going to show you my armor pieces, and then let's wrap this video up, because I actually think I have talked like 5 to 6 minutes now or so. I don't know. I don't have a timer here or anything like that. So let's start with my helmet. I actually use Natalia's gaze, and the stats on this item are actually not that great, but actually I'm a fan of set items and perky stats like the chance to fear on hit. And a lot of people might say, okay, 2.4%, that's actually really low. Why do you invest in an item like that? And the answer to this is 2.4%, that's actually more than you think, because of course it isn't like every second hit will fear an enemy, but considering how often you attack and how often you shoot a nether tentacle or a baller shot, in my case, you actually fear way more often than you might think. So that's something that's a really nice addition to your overall equipment loadout, and I'm a really big fan of that. So maybe that's something you should try if you don't have any perky stat like that on your equipment. Okay, you've already seen my shoulders. They have 16 plus resistance to all elements and 147 dexterity and 34 vitality. They are not that great. They have a lot of armor, that's really nice, almost 500. But I actually plan on replacing them sooner or later, so we'll see. My chest piece, I use Natalia's Shadow at the moment, and I decided to do 2-star emeralds and 1-star, what is it again? The purple one, or the pink one, the vitality one. I don't remember now which it was. So I think it was amethyst, wasn't it? Well, let me take a look. Somebody else in the comments, yeah, amethyst. Somebody in the comments would have corrected me anyway, I guess. So I decided to go with 2-star emeralds and 1-star amethyst for vitality. And also, as you can see, just like in the helmet, I have a perky stat on that, and that is reduces resource cost of Impale by 3 hatred. And also, a lot of people might think as well, okay, 3 hatred, that's actually really low, why do you invest in that? But actually, when you are attacking really often, 3 hatred is actually a lot, and in my opinion it's worth it. And also, I'm a fan of set bonuses. I really enjoyed set bonuses on Diablo 2 and WoW as well. And actually, I always try to, well, complete sets if it is worth it. And in this case, it would make sense for the 3-part set bonus, but the 4-part set bonus is kind of weird because it actually says increases discipline regeneration by 0 per second. So I guess it's a 0 point and so on and so forth number, but Blizzard doesn't actually tell you that, and that's really weird. I don't know why they decide to do a tooltip like that, but yeah, that's my chest part. So let's go to the amulet. I'm going to take a drink real quick. Just a moment. Oh, I got a little thirsty over there. Sorry. Okay, my amulet has 171 dexterity and 100 vitality, and also critical hit damage increased by 43%. Also, I decided to go with a purple amethyst with 38 vitality plus in the socket. And a lot of people might say, okay, why do you invest in critical hit damage? Isn't it more, yeah, how do I explain that? A lot of people think that attack speed is the most important stat for Inferno difficulty, and I understand why they think that, but in my opinion, always stacking up your attack speed isn't the perfect way to equip yourself for Inferno difficulty, because of course you increase your DPS and all that stuff, and I understand where this argument comes from, but in my opinion it also makes a lot of more sense to increase your critical hit damage, because you can hit that enemy with that first strike, let's say with Impale, and do over 200,000 damage on that hit, and that's actually real nice, and that's something I strive for. And in my opinion, attack speed will not be as useful as it used to be, because it will be nerfed in the upcoming patch. That's at least what Blizzard stated on their design update. And yeah, that's the reason why I invest so much on critical hit damage. But if you are fine with a lot of attack speed, that's also fine. I don't say you have to have that much critical hit damage and plus attack speed sucks or anything like that. That's just the way how I do it. Okay, my bracers, they're actually also, well, pretty mediocre. 109 dexterity, 134 vitality, 28 plus 28 poison resistance, sorry. And I also intend to replace them sooner or later. Then my belt, I use a belt with 147 strength, 82 dexterity, 113 vitality and plus 7% life. And this belt actually gives me a lot of vitality or a lot of life, and a lot of people underestimate these plus add number here or insert number here percent life, because they actually always look at the vitality, but plus insert number here percent life actually also gives you a lot of vitality. So if I remove that belt for a second here, I have like 54,000, and with the belt I have almost, yeah, like 9,000 HP. So this belt alone gives me like almost 10,000 HP, and that's quite a lot, even if the dexterity isn't that high. But that's something you have to keep an eye for. Take a look, or take a harder look at the plus percentage life stats on the items, because they're actually really nice if you try to, yeah, pile up your overall HP. Okay, my gloves, they are also pretty standard, I guess. 129 dexterity, 154 vitality. Also critical hit damage increased by 21%. And yeah, strength, plus 34 strength. And what you have to keep in mind is that one strength gives you 1 armor. And that's a really nice addition to your overall armor rating. So if you have strength on your items, that's always nice to have. My first ring, also pretty standard fare. Also has critical hit damage increased by 29%. My second ring, I decided to go with a Amulet in this run. A lot of dexterity. You can see I have attack speed increased by 12% on this one, and I'm really satisfied with this ring. But actually it is only level 53. I don't know why the level rating is actually that low, because that ring is actually better than some of the set rings or some of the legendary rings. But yeah, that's just the way Diablo 3 is, I guess. Well, then my pants, they are actually pretty nice. Of course, they only have, in quotation marks now, almost 140 dexterity and almost 200 vitality. But the nice thing about these pants are they don't have any fancy plus or resistance or magic find or any of that good stuff, but they have a lot of vitality and a lot of dexterity and a really high armor rating. So if you see something like that on the auction house and the price is at about, I'd say that about 500,000 golds, for instance, for a buyout price, you should really buy that item. It's worth that. I guess I could sell that item for about 1 million or even more. So a lot of people might underestimate that at first sight, because they're always looking at resistance to all elements or magic find or attack speed or any of that good stuff, but that item is actually pretty good, so you shouldn't underestimate this. My boots, they are also really nice. They have 143 dexterity, 149 vitality, plus magic find. Level 60, high armor rating. I'm really satisfied with this one. So if you can acquire boots like that, I would highly recommend doing so. My bow, I actually use that bow for attacking enemies at the moment. It's really weird because it has increases corpse spiders damage by 8%. That's actually a witch doctor spell, but I found that item on Act 3 while I was running a GOM run, and I thought, okay, it actually increases my DPS by, I guess at the time it was like 5,000 damage, and that's enough reason to replace the weapon, in my opinion. But the really nice thing about that bow is it has 184 vitality plus the intelligence, and that's really steep. 184 vitality on a weapon, that's amazing. But actually I intend on replacing that item sooner or later with a one that has vitality plus dexterity, so I can make more use of it. And also increases corpse spiders damage. It's kind of weird. A lot of my friends already asked me, okay, why do you use that weapon? That's really weird. Replace that. But actually I haven't found anything better just yet, so I will replace that sooner or later, I guess. So last but not least, my quiver. And actually this quiver is really nice because it has +6 maximum discipline, and that's also a thing that a lot of people underestimate, because maximum discipline actually adds a lot to your survivability, because you can use smokescreen way more. And a lot of people also ask me why I use special recipe over lingering fog, and the reason behind this is I have 36 discipline, and by using smokescreen with special recipe, I actually can use smokescreen up to 3 times. So I have 12, 24 and 36 discipline, so I can use smokescreen 3 times, and in my opinion that's more worth it than having half a second more of invulnerability. But that's just the way I do it, because actually I only use smokescreen to run away from enemies or to break free from movement impairing effects. I don't use it to tank that lot of damage. I actually I don't get hit that often, and if I get hit, I throw in a health pot or use preparation with my battle scars rune, so I don't use it as a tanking skill, if you haven't figured it out by now. But some people do, and I can understand why they go with Lingering Fog, therefore. But now, my quiver. I have 82 dexterity on them, 82 vitality, plus the intelligence. That's obvious. Attack speed increased by 17%, increased hatred regeneration. That's also really nice. And also, a lot of people asked me why I used baller shots over hungering arrows, for instance. That is because baller shots are really fast, and they have a nice AoE damage, and they do a lot of damage. Yeah, they are really, really good. They do 182 weapon damage with the Imminent Doom rune. I'm a really big fan of that. And the other reason is that I have this quiver that increases the damage of baller shots by 10%. So wouldn't make much sense to switch over to hungering arrows for me. So that's the reason, or that's one more reason I use baller shots instead of hungering arrows. So I guess that's it. I can show you my physical resistance again. I'm at 80 physical, cold resistance, and so on and so forth. With all of them, that's 21% from level 60 enemies. And as I already told you, most of the champion packs are like level 61, 62, and 63. So that percentage will be a little bit diminished against them, but as I already told you, you have to be really lucky to find good items with all resistances and high dexterity, high vitality. You should really try to strive for more armor rating first, and if you happen to have a lot of gold later on Inferno mode, you should try to acquire these kinds of items, but in the beginning, you should try to stick with armor and vitality. It's way more easy to find items or to buy items with these stats than buying items with all resistances and so on and so forth. Okay, I can scroll down a little bit. Yeah, with this gear loadout, I'm just at like 18% magic find, but I actually have magic find gear here. I actually can put that on if you want to see it. Okay, with my magic find gear, I'm at a 180% without any Nephilim Valor stacks, and with this high magic find, I actually find a lot of, well, not a lot of, but I actually find a lot of, it's not like a lot, it's like, I find like 1 or 2 legendary items per butcher run, for instance, and I don't know if that's a lot, because some people might find more, it could be, but actually I find set or legendary items, and that's really nice. And they have a really bad reputation, but actually armor pieces or rings, amulets, which are legendary or set items, they are actually really nice, and you shouldn't underestimate them. And with this magic find gear, so just that you have a relation of how good that actually is, I can do anything on Act 1. So when I wear my magic find gear, I'm actually at a, my HP will be, at about the half I have with my current gear, but actually I can do butcher runs without any problem, without dying once. Even to champion packs, they can't penetrate my armor, they can hit me up to 2, 3, 4 times, and then I would probably die, but they don't one-shot me. So if you have like this, if you have a gear loadout like this with about 30,000 maximum life, you should be good to go for Act 1, but on Act 2 it doesn't work that way, and most probably you already experienced it yourself. So Act 2 gets really tough after Act 1, but as far as I know, Blizzard already mentioned that they want to nerf it a little bit so that a lot of people can enter Act 2 more. Yeah, how do I explain that? Blizzard stated that they have the feeling that a lot of people, when they get to Act 2, they think that players have the feeling that they start from the beginning and not, they feel really worthless. Or the players feel really worthless when they start Act 2, and I can understand where this feeling comes from, but actually if you hang in there and if you try to do your best and, well, stick at it, you don't run into that much of, yeah, you don't run into that many problems, in my opinion. You just have to be, yeah, you just have to stay focused. And, well, that's just my opinion, but if Blizzard thinks it is too difficult, or if so many people think it's too difficult, then, yeah, they might just as well nerf it. But whatever the case, that's my character. If you have any questions, concerns, or ideas, leave them in the comment section below. Well, yeah, nice word. Leave them in the comment section below, or write a personal message to my account here on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter. And yeah, that's it. I wish you a really nice day and have a good one. Goodbye.